Hello and welcome everybody to the Echo Interns Chronicles. My name is Linus, or Linus,
My name is Matthew.
and we're here today to talk about one of my most anticipated topics on this podcast, which is cameras, finally. So I'm gonna start us off just by maybe talking about what's your go-to favorite camera that you like to shoot on when it comes to brands.
I don't choose a lot of camera because I'm more producer, I'm doing more producing stuff, everything. But every time that I go outside, especially with some of my friends, it will be the Sony Alpha 7 because it's so good. You can take picture with it, so it's a good camera. It's a DSLR, so it's not only a camera. But for my short movie, especially we use a lot of Sony, especially FS5 or FS7, even now FX3 or FX6. So they are good camera.
Would you say Sony is one of the better brands? Because there's always this rivalry between Sony guys, people who shoot on Sony, people who shoot on Canon, people who shoot on fancier stuff like Red or ARRI.
I would say I have very strong opinion about it, and my teachers also. So for me, Sony is one of the best with
Right.
ARRI.
Yep.
This is the one to go. Except that Sony it will be very fun, but it's more technical, which
Right.
means that someone that not a director, that not a big technician or anything, it will be a bit hard to go with Sony, especially with the Venice. But with the ARRI, it will be perfect.
Okay.
But I won't advise anyone to take the red camera. All my friends that doing some movies or anything, they hate
Okay.
red, because in fact this is not good. They're saying yes, you can film in 6K, 8K and everything, but you really don't care. You just need 4K and you're going to export it in 2K. So there's a lot of things about red that we don't really like. And Canon we don't use it to film.
Okay.
Maybe for documentary, but not for fiction.
Okay, one underrated brand I think I would like to mention here that I filmed with when I made a music video in Scotland is Blackmagic, actually. The 6K camera, the Pocket 6K they made, the quality that came out of this little thing was very impressive, I have to say. And you go to of course you get Blackmagic RAW and up to 16-bit, but yeah, it's really impressive how they put that. The body, you can, there's debate about how comfortable to use the body is, but the performance is just I think what made it for me. So I just wanted to mention Blackmagic there. But if you would have a dream camera that you would get, which one would you get? Like a brand, a specific model camera?
Alexa Mini.
Alexa Mini?
Of course, it's the one that must move. I'm talking about digital.
Yeah.
Because if I'm talking about film, of course, I
Oh, we'll
prefer
get
film.
to that. We'll get to that.
But
yeah.
about digital, I would say, Alexa Mini, because it's the one to go, and the color, especially on the skin and everything, it's just perfect. It's the one to go. When you look, how many movies are just shot with this one? Yeah, all of them almost.
It's pretty comfortable to use, I guess, since it's called. Is it?
Yeah.
Is the name saying if it's called Mini? Is it how big? Could you give me an example how big it is?
Only the body, or with
Only the body.
The body, in fact, is quite small. It's this. I would say
okay.
this is it's not a big box.
Oh, okay.
But the body, because after with all the lenses and
You
everything, you become a big snake.
Exactly.
But it's almost the same than the Sony Venice.
The Sony Venice.
The only thing is good with the second Sony Venice is that you can take the front part off the body with cable and everything.
Right.
And that's a big thing because you can just move around, especially when you have in the narrow spaces and everything.
Yeah.
You can have you have a lot of cable, but you don't need the body, you have just the front.
Since you're talking about the narrow spaces and the convertibility of it all, one that I would like to mention again is which would also be my dream camera is the Sony FX3. Because the Sony FX3, it's just, I feel like I'm a big fan. My style of cinematography, I would say, is a lot of being able to move fast and being able to move efficiently. And just the example, I was so impressed by it. I saw this movie when I was in Scotland, The Creator.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And when I watched it after, I say, no, I can't.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. They shot this for context, they shot this movie on almost entirely on the Sony FX3, which is prosumer camera. It's it's pricey. The body comes in at like 4,500, but it's a very compared to an Ari Mini, which is like
80,000.
80,000.
Like only it depends, but only the body.
Yeah, which comes in at like 80,000. So it's the price difference is massive. But they shot this whole big Hollywood blockbuster on it because the cinematographer Oren Sofa said, "Oh, the Sony colors are so good. The low light performance that they were able to get out of the small body was really impressive." And going back to the maneuverability aspect, it allowed them to have like 7 different FX3s, mount them on different kinds of rigs, like shoulder cam, a gimbal, a crane. Yeah, it allowed them for a lot of flexibility, which was also handy since we're going to these locations in Indonesia and in Asia to shoot on site. And this flexibility allowed them to basically do that and keep the cost low, because the movie was made for only 80 million, I think.
That's
which is
nothing for the United
Which
States.
is so impressive. Exactly. That's why I'm a big fan of Gareth Edwards as a director, and I was so impressed by this movie. The story could have been better in my opinion, but like the movie, the filmmaking aspect was just great. But we already touched on it a bit. It's not only the camera body that you have to think about, it's also the lens that you get. And my question would be like, what's your like a focal length that you would gravitate towards if you would shoot on like a lens?
It will depend, because like for me, and this is why a lot of people told me that the lenses are the most important thing. This is why I'm going to give you like the look of your movie. Like the camera will only give you like the ability to film 4K or something like this. But the look and what you're going to see, the color and everything, will be the lens. So this is the most important thing. And for the focal length, it depends what I want to tell. Like if I want like to tell like something very neutral, I will go like for maybe 50 millimeters, because it's a bit like the eyes. But if I want like something, I want people to stress out, to feel like very pressed and everything, maybe I will go for a long lens, kind of like taking the background very close to the subject, compress it. And otherwise I can take like a great angle if I want like something a bit disturbing, or I don't know.
Or like a lot of the lenses, this French filmmaker Jean-Pierre Jeunet uses a lot of wide lenses to show the environment and give his movies this kind of quirky look. I think Amélie is famous for using like a lot of wide angles to ground the environment, the Paris environment, and make it look almost a bit cartoonish as well. So that's the thing. And people underestimate, like when I bought my first camera, I underestimated just how for one thing pricey, but for another thing also important the lens is, because it's like this whole other thing that goes onto the camera that you can vary, though, that you can change out if you going for like a prime lens kit. So it's a whole another aspect to consider when buying a camera. And that would just be another question. Would you like gravitate towards more like prime or zoom lenses, depending on the context?
It depends on the context. Like if I'm doing a documentary, or I don't have like a lot of budget, I will go for a zoom 1, because documentary I will have like to move a lot, to change a lot. I don't have the time to change like the lens and everything. Otherwise, if I have a lot of money and I can do like a proper film and everything, I will go for prime. Because you're just changing, because prime lenses are more quality and more details than in zoom. So
and mostly also what they mostly bring a lot of the time as well is a bigger, faster aperture, which is like the aperture is like this for everybody who's not so versed in this, it's like basically mimicking the pupil of the eye, controlling how much light is let into the camera to allow to hit the sensor. And it gives you like, if you turn it all the way up, you get this really creamy bokeh, the background blur, which is just the cinematic look that people are going for. So that's something you cannot easily achieve with zoom lenses, because they mostly open up to like 2.8 at the most, which but the fastest speeds can be up to 1.4 or even faster.
The thing is, I think we're going to talk about it, but this is also something that's going to change with the lenses, is the anamorphic, if you're using like an anamorphic one,
Yes.
or like a spherical one.
Yes.
Because the anamorphic one has such quality, very interesting, very cinematic, but not for all stories, of course. But
Exactly. Yeah, that would have been my next topic, because anamorphic is this whole different concept of, you have oval shaped lenses, normally lenses are round, but there you have oval shaped lenses that allow the image to stretch, basically, which means you get more image. You get the black bars, the letterboxed aspect ratio on the top and on the bottom. You have to decompress the image in post, but it gives you this whole wide image that's very, very suited towards like epic landscapes and generally epic shots. And also it gives you the horizontal lens flares. The lens flares,
so beautiful.
the classical J.J. Abrams, Michael Bay lens flare style, and they are just, I love lens flares. I love when light just hits the camera, right? And that's just, an anamorphic lens would be the next thing on my wish list.
Especially like for sci-fi movie like J.J. Abrams, or also like I would say the old Hollywood, I'm going to do it again. The old Hollywood look. Especially because Star Wars, everything we are looking on anamorphic, because this was the tendency at the time. And when you look today, the movie that want this look, like La La Land or the one, they're going to look on anamorphic, because it will be better.
It gives you just this bigger, like, I don't know, more, it's difficult to describe, a more epic cinematic look, also with the blurring of the edges most of the time, since the lenses are oval shaped, and then the way the also focus breathing behaves. The focus almost seems to like more alive when you do a focus pull. J.J. Abrams described this once. He loves the anamorphic focus pull because it looks like the morphing of the background into the foreground when it changes. It just seems like
moves.
It breathes, like it gives extra life to the image. It's really cool. Just a nuisance that they're so expensive. Anamorphic lenses, they are
That's
very
anamorphic
expensive.
sometimes, but I heard like not so, like few times ago that they were like lenses, and anamorphic lenses is not like the best quality, obviously. They were like around 10,000 or something like this. It's not that expensive like for an anamorphic one.
For an anamorphic lens,
Yes, because sometimes lenses are more expensive than the body of the camera.
Yes, exactly. That's also another thing I wanted to talk about, because I looked it up already. They are producing anamorphic lenses even for smaller format cameras, which we are now recording this on a Sony's a6700, which is an APS-C sensor, so a cropped sensor. And what that brings basically means is a smaller body, it's a smaller, more compact size, cheaper lenses, because the lenses can be smaller as well. The full frame equivalent, which you would get with a full frame, which is the norm in cinema, is the bigger sensor size. But like, there's also medium format. What are your thoughts on medium format?
I never really use it a lot.
I mean, they don't have it in a lot of normal cameras.
So I don't really know. Like, I cannot say anything, but like, it's kind of, I don't know to think, like, I don't think that this is the most important thing to look at. Like, it's important, but think about your lenses, think about what you want with your story, because this is a technical aspect. And it's kind of very complicated. Even me, I don't really understand all of these things.
Right, because, medium format is just like, it's full format, but bigger even, you know? So it's like, do we really need like bigger sensors, except for like super detailed? They use it in Hasselblad cameras. The Swedish manufacturer, Hasselblad makes medium format cameras. The ones that cost like 30,000 euros as well, that are like this big. And they are used mostly, I think, for product photography. So you have like all the detail from it. But apart from that, like for movies, it doesn't really make that much sense because it also produces such a high resolution like image. And photography is one thing, but movies are 24 frames a second, photos a second. So that produces enormous amounts of data.
It needs to be blurred, like in the movement.
Exactly.
If it's too much detail, this is why I don't like some movie today, because they want like to put so much details. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't look natural. That looks very fake. I'm very fake. I'm like, why? When you look at movies, especially on film.
Yeah.
You're like, that looked better.
Yeah, because there's a certain amount of things you don't see that are left to like, because you fill in the blanks with your brain, basically. So it's like, why do we need like super high resolution? Like
don't
see every pore. It makes it more difficult for the makeup department as well, right? To hide all the imperfections. But yeah, that's another thing, and that's also a thing you can control with camera settings like ISO and shutter angle, right?
Yeah, true.
Like ISO, for example, I was under the impression for a long time that ISO amplifies the what's it called, the amount of light that the sensor picks up. It does, but it doesn't amplify like the ability of the pixels themselves. It amplifies the image that you're already getting. So you're like just seeing an image that's brighter because you turned up the gain on the light basically. So that was a new thing. And then shutter angle is obviously, well, you have to choose it based on your frame rate, right? So
yeah, no, because when I don't know if you watch like Gladiator, the opening scene, the thing, it was like the battle in the forest is very like not fluid at all.
Oh yeah.
And this is because they're playing with the frame per second. I think it was filmed like around 10 frames per second or something like this. And they're playing also with the shutter angle in the way that's going to give this effect of movement that is fluid but not really like smooth. And so you can play with it, in fact.
Okay.
Yeah, that can give you like very interesting thing. But for also like if you're shooting something very natural, you don't need to.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's also helpful. Like if you want if you want to let less light into the camera, you turn it up. It just will give you more, like the more fluid, a bit more choppy looking movement. Yeah. Which is where another topic comes in, which is ND filters, because ND filters are like sunglasses for your camera, basically. When you're outside and you want to open up the aperture, but you're letting in more light, so you're overexposing the image. It gets too bright, so you need to fix that because you don't want to change your shutter, and your ISO is already as low as it can be. So you get the ND filter to put it on. Like, if you would get one, would you opt for like just a variable or a variable and a polarizer combined that gets rid of reflections?
I would say a normal one, but I would take 3 of them.
Okay.
Especially because on ARRI camera and all this kind of thing, they're already inside the camera.
Yes.
And the 3 one we're going to use every time, especially at my school, this is what we use. The ND3, ND6, ND9.
Okay.
That's the one to go because like I'm not going to go too much into technical, but in fact we're going to measure the light that's going to go into the camera and into the sensor in stop. One stop will be everything. And in fact, between ND3, ND6, and ND9, you have like 1 stop between each.
Yes.
So it will be very easy to measure what you need, what amount of light you need and everything.
Okay.
Especially after, if you change your camera set and you're going to remove the ND filter and everything to match the shot together, it will be easier.
Yeah. So you would go for set ND filters that you interchange basically in the camera.
Yeah.
Just because, I heard with variable ND filters where you just turn the wheel on the filter, sometimes you can get this X shadow in the image that you don't really want. Don't want it. Yeah, you better get like a matte box, like or would you get? Are they circular, the filters you use, or are they like plates that you put? Plates that you put in the box. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. We talked about frame rate. Let's get to the big topic, which I think you wanted to talk about: film instead of digital. Like, what would you say are the advantages of shooting on film? Like, why would you prefer it?
Digital cannot do what a film camera can. Like, especially because IMAX. Not the IMAX you see on movie theater, but when they're using like the IMAX camera to shoot like on the set.
Yeah.
The IMAX camera, the 70 millimeters, it's impossible right now to use digital.
Yeah.
And that explains everything. Why today you can see Titanic, for example, other movie, they were shot on film, but you can watch them on 4K. Because film, you can do whatever you want after. If you want to do 8K, you can do 8K. You don't have like limits with film. You can do whatever you want. The only thing is, film is more expensive. It's kind of tricky because you need to load it in a way, you need to be very careful. So
it makes noise as well. The sound guys are like...
You need like a soundproof and everything. So but when you look at the image, even today, to be true, all the films, Hollywood films, when they are shot, they are printed after on laboratory. They are printed on a film, and after they're putting back on digital, because we cannot do the film look today with a digital camera
without the film stock actually being involved in the process. Yeah, that's very interesting, because there's a lot of directors like who are still championing film as like the medium to go. Like, for example, Christopher Nolan is big on this. Quentin Tarantino is very big on this. Quentin Tarantino is like has said that like he would stop seeing movies if they stop showing. Like, would they show if they would show only on digital? Like, for him that would be the end of like the cinematic area, cinema as it is basically, which I find interesting, because very famous cinematographers like Roger Deakins, for example, a great guy, have said that like, oh, it's about the technical changes in the industry and I don't care what I shoot on, but I'm still kind of like, you can always tell when a movie is shot on film for some reason, like you said, and when it's just shot on digital and trying to emulate the film look. Like, the digital noise that you get from like ISO is just not the same as the film noise, right?
Yeah, especially because like one thing about digital, it is easier. Like you just have like to put an SD card, you can just click on the button and just move it to have like the right exposure and everything. With film, you cannot do that because you cannot like change the ISO. The ISO is with the stock.
Exactly.
So you're just going to put the stock and it's going to be this ISO. You cannot change it. You need to change the stock, everything. It's a bit harder, but I think kind of give you like kind of, I think student today should learn how to shot on film, because like after you're able, like you should learn it in the hard way with a lot of limits. Now you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. Like this after, when you go on digital, you don't do not like you're very careful. Like in the past, especially today, we just take the camera, especially on the set. People can say, "Oh, we're going to shoot one take, two take, two take." They don't do rehearsal. They don't do all of those, and they're going to do like 20 takes and everything. The thing is, when we were like all the movies were shot on film, you cannot do this because like
you have to be conscious of the stock that you have.
That's why. So in fact, they can do like 4, 5 takes, 6 takes. Each takes like costs a lot of money. So you're going to do a lot of rehearsal, a lot of things. You're going to be, I won't say slow, but you will take your time. You do the thing right. Today you can go so fast, and the actor sometimes are like, what I'm going to do, I don't know. Take your time, do rehearsal, do mechanic, do all this kind of thing. And I think today we don't do this anymore. And that's something I'm like, all my teacher, like first assistant, cinematographer and everything, they all told me like, that's the issue today.
That's what you learn when you use film cameras. You learn how to actually be aware of, I have this finite number of takes that I can do because I have this finite amount of film stock, and I need this finite amount to finish my movie, so I can only do that many takes, and I have to get them right. So I take more care in preparing the takes and setting them up.
It's about awareness, about economy. It's about doing the thing in the right way. Don't go fast, even though today everything is going fast. Don't go fast. Take your time. It will be better, much quality than quantity.
Exactly. To finish this off, I'm gonna just drop into like another random movie question, because this is a film festival and we care a lot about this stuff. So what would you say, which movie that you have maybe recently seen or seen a long time ago has the best camera work, the best cinematography, like the movie that would deserve an Oscar for, or has deservedly gotten an Oscar for best cinematography, maybe?
I would say it's one I've seen, like I watched it again like not long time ago, is Saving Private Ryan. Because the cinematography, when you look at it, you're like, wow. Like, it's not like big light with a lot of flash and with a lot of color, of course not. But when you look at it, how it was filmed, how all the cinematography, the shot, I was like, wow, man, that's very good.
That's very impressive.
Especially for the time.
Yeah.
Because they were shooting on film.
Yeah.
This was like at the end of the 90s, of course, like digital starting like to get in, but like it was like at this time you cannot do all of that. So in terms of movement, in terms of how you're going to shot everything, the LED light didn't exist.
Yeah.
So
you had to light other ways as well. I would definitely agree with that one. Mine pick would also be a war movie. Actually, would be Apocalypse Now, because every time like I like remind myself of the troubled production it did have, where they were like on set in I think it was Vietnam or Malaysia where they filmed it, right? So, like,
I think it was in Malaysia. It happened, like the story.
It's about the Vietnam War. Yeah, they filmed it in Malaysia, and there were storms going on and everything, and just the amount of stress that Coppola and the cinematographer must have been under. Just like I can't even imagine. Like the helicopter sequence, for example, is so well put together, and
you cannot miss it.
It's so well put together and so well executed. They shot this entire sequence of the bombing, of the trees exploding, and almost didn't use it, and they used it for the end, for the opening credits, which is genius. And that movie would be up there. I don't know if it won the Oscar for best cinematography. It won in Cannes, as far as I remember. It won the Cannes prize.
But the cinematography prize, I don't know.
It was who shot that? I thought it was I think it was Vittorio Santoro or something. This legendary cinematographer.
It's possible.
Who also shot, I think, I don't know if he shot The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but that would be a topic for another time, because cinematography is such a wide range.
You can talk like for 5 hours. We talk like about camera and lenses. But you can talk about light. What kind of light? You can talk about framing, like a specific shot.
Composition, rule of thirds, golden ratio.
You can talk about
angles,
a lot of things. Like we can talk about this for a year.
Tracking shots. For some of my favorite shots, I love tracking shots. One takes. Children of Men, for example, or Birdman, or all these great movies.
The king of one take is Spielberg, because one take is kind of very difficult. I'm not going to talk too much about it. But it's very difficult because a one take needs to be very dynamic, otherwise it will be boring. And so you need to change your composition like every single time. But you need to do it in the right way to tell something.
The blocking of the actors needs to be
correct. Like the blocking in the stage, in this kind of dance between the camera and the actors.
Exactly.
And when you watch Spielberg, what he's doing, like it's not like a big one take. It's only on one scene, like 2-3 minutes. But what he's doing is like masterpiece.
It's so good.
It's the king of the one take.
Exactly. The one-us, as they call it. Like it's so great how he gets through one scene in just this single take. That's another great topic, maybe for another episode.
We can talk about.
But we can talk about a lot. But I think this is a good point to end it. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in again to Echo Interns Chronicles, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.